morning, everyone. It is a beautiful but chilly day here in Sidman, Pennsylvania. But something tells me our little goblins and ghouls don't mind a bit. The students are so excited. It's parade day, it's party day, and it's a half a day at school. It doesn't get any better than that, right? I am Kim Host Stetler, and I will be your host for this spooktacular event. It's taking place on the football field today, which is wonderful to be back outside again. This is the 19th year in a row that we've broadcast this parade, and it is truly the most watched event that we post on our Forest Hills Channel 182 and our Forest Hills YouTube channel. So I thank you all for joining us today. So sit back, grab your favorite witch's brew, and enjoy the show. Now, as they have in the past, the Forest Hills High School Marching Rangers, under the direction of Mr. Mitch Cooster and our very own Jake Kearney, were gracious enough to join us today. I'm hoping that you'll be able to hear some background music as they come by here. They're rounding the east end of the football field right now, and I'm hoping you'll be able to hear them throughout our broadcast. As they make their way around, I would like to show you some footage of our afternoon pre-K students. We have two sessions for our pre-kindergarten students, the morning and afternoon. And since we are recording this parade in the morning, we wanted to show you the little cuties from Mrs. Stifler's room and Mrs. Mangus's afternoon pre-K classes. So let's take a look at that little mini parade that was held yesterday.
It's Halloween night, not a soul in sight. I hear footsteps, what's that coming? I see a ghost, oh no! I see a ghost, hide! I see a ghost, mwahahahahaha. It's Halloween night, not a soul in sight. I hear footsteps, what's that coming? I see a witch, oh no! I see a witch, quick run away! I see a witch, ha 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 ha.
And look who I see at the end of the Marching Rangers. We've got, I don't know, is that left foot and a right foot? No, they're the same feet. Oh my goodness, that was Dr. Dill and Mrs. Kristen Wilson, our principal and assistant principal at the elementary school. But now it looks like the moment we've all been waiting for. It's time to begin our parade. We have our morning pre-K classes. And it looks like Mrs. Stifler's tiny goblins are patiently waiting to kick off this parade. Here they come now. As always, I'm sure this is especially exciting for these little ones because this is their very first parade of many to come here at the elementary school. And they look absolutely adorable. Honestly, I say this every year. The kiddos and those costumes, parents, kudos to you for the costumes. Now, as always, I have some crafts to show, especially with the little ones. Mrs. Stifler's pre-K classes and also Mrs. Mangus's classes created these crafts. We've got this cute little spider. No. Yes, I guess it's a spider and a witch all in one. And then we've got this cute little spider craft too. Fantastic job, kiddos. And now I believe Mrs. Mangus's class is coming down the football field. I love the theme that they have there. If you'll notice, Mrs. Mangus and Mrs. Stifler, they have the Incredibles theme going on, and all of their helpers have the Incredibles t-shirts on as well. Pre-K did a spider unit in preparation for Halloween, and both of the classes learned about spiders having 8 legs and, of course, eyes, and how they lay their eggs and how they build those beautiful webs. So the classes got together and they made edible spiders with crackers, pretzels, and chocolate chips. So we'll have to take a look at some of the photos that they took of the kiddos making these crafts.
Watch out, the monsters are out. If you're all alone, give your friends a shout. The ghosts and the spooks coming out of the nooks as your doorbell rings. Can you hear them sing? Hello, it's Halloween. Hello, it's Halloween. Hello, it's Halloween. Hello, it's Halloween. The air is cool and the moon is full. Turn on the light before the vampires bite. The witches are cooking, the zombies are looking. Your doorbell rings, can you hear them sing? Hello, it's Halloween. Hello, it's Halloween. Hello, it's Halloween. Hello, it's Halloween.
And next, we have our kindergarten. And it looks like they are being led by Mrs. Klein's room. And I see a theme again for them. Are they little minions? So cute. Look at these costumes. Mrs. Klein's classroom also did some an art project. And this is one of them done by Jace. And here's another done by Adeline. And we also have some photos to show of Mrs. Klein's class carving their pumpkins into jack-o'-lanterns. So let's take a look.
Pumpkins sitting on the wall. 10 orange pumpkins sitting on the wall. And if one of those pumpkins accidentally falls, there'll be 9 orange pumpkins sitting on the wall. Nine orange pumpkins sitting on a wall. 9 orange pumpkins sitting on a wall. And if one of those pumpkins accidentally falls, there'll be 8 orange pumpkins sitting on the wall. Eight orange pumpkins sitting on a wall. 8 orange pumpkins sitting on a wall. And if one of those pumpkins...
Next up, we have Mrs. Caitlin Young's classroom. You see lots of princesses. Oh, look at that. Look at that one riding something. I can't tell what it is, but it's so darn cute. Once Mrs. Young's classroom goes by, we have some crafts to show and also some photos of her students carving the jack-o'-lanterns. I think it's actually after the fact. Their class made these sun catchers, pumpkin, and also the candy corn. And it looks like they did some writing about pumpkins too. My pumpkin is silly, Easton says. Fantastic job. Let's take a look at those photos. And next up, I see it says Mrs. Carpenter, but I don't think that's Mrs. Carpenter. I believe we have Mrs. Christine Coop. Oh, I know why. Not Mrs. Christine Coop, that's Mrs. Christine Christ. And she is in for Mrs. Ann Carpenter's class because Mrs. Carpenter had a little baby. So that would be Mrs. Christine Christ with Mrs. Carpenter's class. They also have a craft to share with you once they all go through. Nelson made this really cute pumpkin. And it looks like they did some activities on pumpkins. This was created by Caitlin. And they also read the story Room on a Broom. And this is from the activity they did that goes along with that book. And here comes Mrs. Shope's kindergarten class. Oh my goodness. Look at these kids are great. Oh my goodness. He's running. There he goes. And look at that chicken. Oh, I love it. Oh, the kids are so cute. Mrs. Shope's classroom created some haunted houses. We'll take a look at that once the kiddos go by. The princess and her frog. I love it. Here are some haunted houses that Mrs. Shope's classroom made. Can we see that? Here we go. I'm not quite sure who did that one. Oh, that was done by Ashton. This is Kinley's. And we've got Melissa's haunted house. And finally, we've got a haunted house done by Maverick. Terrific job, kiddos.
The fog still lingers, you're counting on your fingers. The ghouls behind in the light. It's Halloween, it's Halloween, it's Halloween. It's the zombies' delight. It's Halloween, it's Halloween, it's Halloween. What you doing tonight? It's Halloween, it's Halloween, it's Halloween. Prepare for fight.
And next, it looks like we have Mrs. Aubrey Christ. We've got two Mrs. Christs in kindergarten right now. Oh, we've got Jack and Sally there. That's pretty cute. There are some spooky ones. Once Mrs. Chris' class goes by, we also have some crafts that her children made. First one is a sun catcher. This was done by Dominic. And we also have Grace's thumbkin patch, followed by some writing projects they did. A pumpkin is good for carving. That is adorable. Ooh, and I love this monster. Check this out. A monster has wild eyes. I love it. That's adorable. We also have some photos that we'd like to share with you of Mrs. Chris' class doing some fun Halloween activities. And next we have Mrs. Ray's kindergarten class. Look at all those superheroes. Every one of them looks so cute. Now, once Mrs. Ray's class goes by, we also have some crafts that Mrs. Ray's children created. It looks like they were studying shapes, because here is a triangle monster done by Deacon. And we've got a square one. Look at this one, a little cyclops done by Vivi. And finally, we have a cute little Frankenstein done by Camden. We also have some photos of Mrs. Ray's class creating their shape monsters. Let's take a look.
5 little ghosts went out one night, haunting, spooking, what a fright. Mother Ghost said boo, boo, but back to the house only 4 ghosts flew. 1, 2, 3, 4. 4 little ghosts went out one night, haunting, spooking, what a fright. Mother Ghost said boo, boo, but back to the house.
And it looks like Mr. Coolback's class is rounding out all of the kindergarten classes. as his children go by, I have to just give a little shout out for Mr. Coolback. He always takes care of a big display case that is across from the elementary office, and the mailboxes there. And it is a very large space, and he does an awesome job, or I should say his students do an awesome job decorating that each and every year, and it is absolutely beautiful. We do have some crafts to show you that his class created, and we also have some photos and a video. But we also have a photo. I took a photo of that display case so everyone can see how beautiful it looks, and we really appreciate all the work he and his students do. Oh, that little girl looks nice and warm. So here are some of the crafts that he created, or his students created. This is done by Lydia. And we have another one done by Carson. And then I do have, as I had mentioned, we have some photos to share with you of Mr. Coolback's children making Indian corn and also carving pumpkins. And then followed by that will be a video of his students singing two songs, Five Little Pumpkins and Jack-O-Lantern.
Five little monsters jumping on the bed. One fell off and bumped her head. Mommy called the doctor and the doctor said,
No more monsters jumping on the bed.
Four little monsters jumping on the bed. One fell off and bumped her head. Mommy called the doctor and the doctor.
Jack-o'-lantern, you were such a funny sight. As you sit there in my window, looking out into the night, you were once a little pumpkin growing on a sturdy vine. Now you are my jack-o'-lantern. Let your candlelight shine. Five little pumpkins sitting on a gate. The first one said, oh my, it's getting late. The second one said, there are witches in the air. The third one said, but we don't care. The fourth one said, let's run and run and run. The fifth one said, I'm ready for some fun. Ooh, went the wind and out went the lights. And the five little pumpkins rolled out of sight.
So we're switching it up now. We went from little wee goblins and ghouls to slightly larger goblins and ghouls. And it looks like Mrs. Markham's 4th grade class is coming. We're not going in order this year. Usually we do, but because of it being a half a day and lunch times are at different times today due to the early dismissal, we're switching things up. Oh, look how cute. And again, another theme by our 4th grade people. We've got some Dalmatians going on. I love it. Mrs. Markham's class would also like to share with you some crafts that they made and some photos. These are really cute. So check these out. They have their little hands. These were done by Mila and Brayley. And it just created a really cool Halloween scene there on these paper plates. Actually, Mrs. Markham's class and Mrs. Autumn Jones' class did the same. And once her class goes through, I'll show you those crafts as well. But we have also some photos of Mrs. Markham's children making these paper plate Halloween crafts. Let's take a look. And next up, we've got Mrs. Jones' Boo Crew. I love that sign. Beside Mrs. Jones is on the right, and on the left is Mrs. Kara Matthews. Ooh, there's some scary things there. Wowee. There's Mrs. Annette Wechtenheiser. As you can see, we have quite a few paraprofessionals who are a wonderful, wonderful help to our students each and every day. We really appreciate all that they do for the students and also for the teachers as well. And Mrs. Jones, as I had mentioned before, would like to share with you some crafts that they made. This one was done by Carly, and this one was done by Kai. Fantastic job, kiddos. She would also like to share some photos of her class making those paper plate haunted pumpkin patches. And next up, we've got Ms. Jen Podiak. Now, Ms. Podiak's class and Mr. Dave Piccola's class, they got together and their kiddos made some really neat haunted houses. So in between here, in between showing Ms. Podiak's class and Mr. Piccola's class, we're going to show you some photos of their students making the haunted houses and also the crafts that they made. Oh, I see. I see what Mr. Piccola is there. I'll wait till afterwards. That's pretty. Whoever thought of that, they were really thinking. I love that chicken. Check out that chicken. So here are the crafts that Ms. Podiak's and Mr. Piccola's classes made. This one is done by, let's see, it's hard to tell what that name is. Rosin, I believe, in Ms. Podiak's class. Can we see the whole thing? There we go. Okay, and hand that back to my wonderful helper here, Miss Jan. This one was done by Aubrey. Check that out. Really, really nice. And then we'll catch Mr. Piccola's haunted houses right after his classroom comes through. So let's take a look at Mr. Piccola here. I have the whole theme now. All of the lady teachers were all Dalmatians, and we've got Mr. Piccola must be the dog catcher, along with Cruella de Vil there. I think that is really, really neat. Oh, I see some more spots over there. Oh my goodness, look at the dinosaur. Oh, and the poor green dinosaur. He has a broken neck. Maybe the orange dinosaur bit him on the way through here. I love those chickens. So cute. Oh, there's Peyton, my little niece. So let's take a look at Mr. Piccola's haunted houses. This one was done by Abby. Ooh, look at that spider on the top there. And this one is done by Samantha. They put a lot of time into this, and they have so much fun. They open up the walls in between their classroom, and there's like 40, 50 kids making these haunted houses. It's crazy, but it's so much fun.
Rising this morning from my coffin, the sun was shining in my eyes. Though it should have been the death of me,
trying to bite your neck.
Yeah, beat it, Fang. Can't you see I'm busy here? Go chew on someone else, why don't you?
I want to drink your blood.
What, do you work for the IRS or something? Take a number.
All right. On to our next fourth grade classroom. This would be Miss Rebecca Carnell. And just as Miss Piccola, Mr. Piccola and Ms. Podiak created the haunted houses together, Miss Carnell and Mrs. Dawn McCall, their classes got together and they made the same type of crafts as well. Again, opening up those classrooms, having a great time making their Halloween crafts. Oh, that's funny. So let me show you. Now, some of these are Mrs. McCall's classroom and some are from Miss Cornell's classroom. But they made these really cool bats. Looks like out of paper towel rolls. And we've got these. And these are really different. This one, it looks like it's a little demon. Look at that one. Look at that guy. There we go. And this one is a cross between a ghost and a spider. Pretty cool. They also made these skeleton puppets and some ghosts. They were busy, let me tell you, as most of the classrooms are this time of year. This was done by Aria and Allie. Fantastic job, everyone. And now let's take a look at Mrs. Dawn McCall's class. She is Cruella de Vil, which is pretty darn neat. I love the whole theme. Oh, look at that ape. We also have some photos after Mrs. McCall's classroom goes through. We have some photos, as I had mentioned before, of Mrs. McCall's class and Miss Carnell's class making all of those crafts. But we also have some photos, the entire fourth grade carved pumpkins. And they were estimating and measuring the height, the weight, the number of seeds, and then they graphed all of this information. They had so much fun. We have some photos to share of the students carving these pumpkins, and also I ran up yesterday and I got a picture of the enormous chart that they created after all of this estimating and measuring. So they had a great time. There are a lot of things you can do with pumpkins, let me tell you.
Pumpkins marching one by one, marching to the beat. Pumpkins bobbing up and down, they're marching in the street. Look! They're marching, marching in your neighborhood. Yikes! They're marching, marching just like pumpkins should.
of my electrode. He's in the mash. He's in the monster mash. The monster mash. And it's a graveyard smash. They caught on in a flash. He's the monster mash. Zombies were having fun. Party had just begun. The guests included the Wolfman, Dracula, and his son. The scene was rocking over digging sound. Igor chained back by his main house. Pomp and daggers were about to arrive. Vocal room, the cryptic combined. They did the mash! They did the monster mash! The monster mash! And it's a graveyard smash! The mash! They caught on in a flash! They did the monster mash! Everything's cool! That's a part of the band! Monster mash! Hit in the land! You the living! As fast as they do it! My door till them only say, hey! Then you can monster mash! You did the mash! And it's a graveyard smash! They caught on in a flash!
So before we move on to our third grade classes, because I see Mr. Justin Myers is ready to go here, I'd like to take a moment to recognize Mrs. Madeira's class bulletin board. It is absolutely adorable. Boo from our crew to you. And after that, we'll just give you a very brief little tour around the school so you can see some of the really exciting bulletin boards that have been on display the entire month of October. So let's take a look at those.
Gotta bag these leaves. Gotta bag these leaves. Gotta bag these leaves today. Today. Gotta rake them up or else stick them in a bag or else I cannot go out and play. Oh no, today. Don't wanna do it, but I will. Don't wanna do it, but I will. I will. What a mess. What a dirty job. Nasty. Yucky. Gotta bag these leaves. Gotta bag these leaves. Gotta bag these leaves today. Today. Gotta rake them up or else stick them in a bag or else I cannot go out and play. Oh no, today. What a mess. What a dirty job. Nasty. Yucky. Gotta bag these leaves. Gotta bag these leaves. Gotta bag these leaves today. Today. Gotta rake them up or else stick them in a bag or else I cannot go out and play. Oh no, today. Gotta bag these leaves today.
All right, and now it is time for Mr. Justin Myers, or should I say Mr. Charlie Brown's third grade class to join the parade. He's got to be cold, my goodness, but he does make a really good Charlie Brown. Oh, that little wolf is so cute. Oh, I love the little boy riding the dinosaur. Oh, look at Hulk. Is that Hulk Hogan? Once Mr. Myers' class goes by, I would like to share with you some photos of his students making ghosts and their Halloween treat bags. This is a tradition with Mr. Myers' class. So let's take a moment and look at those photos. It looks like we have Mrs. Ambrose's little goblins and ghouls. Mrs. Ambrose's class was very busy as well. Once we take a look at all of the costumes, we have some photos of them making their craft that you'll see in just a moment. And I also have 2 videos to share with you. I believe their students were given an opportunity to earn some bonus points by memorizing some Halloween and autumn poems, and a few people took advantage of that. So let's first of all, after they go through here, we're going to take a look at the craft that they do. Each and every year, it is absolutely adorable. These are the Q-tip skeletons. This one was done by Macy. And I love this one, how it's waving. That's so cute. This one was done by Jaden. Now we'll take a look at some of the photos of her students making these crafts. And that will be followed by the first video. You will hear the poem Autumn Fire recited by Weston, Ella, and Sophia. And the next one is entitled Black and Gold, and that poem is recited by Quentin, Michael, Draven, and Tyson.
In the autumn gardens and all up the vale, from the autumn bonfires see the smoke trail. Pleasant summer over and all summer flowers. The red fire blazes, the gray smoke towers. Sing a song of seasons, something bright and all. Flowers in the summer, fires in the fall.
Everything is black and gold tonight. Yellow pumpkins, yellow moon, yellow candlelight. Jet black cats with golden eyes, shadows black as ink. Firelight blinking in the dark with a yellow blink. Black and gold, nothing in between. When the world turns black and gold, then it's Halloween. Rattling bones. Rattling bones. Fee-fi-fo-fum. Where's that rattling coming from? Fee-fi-fo-fum. Rattling bones, here they come. Rattling bones. Rattling bones. Fee-fi-fo-fum. Where's that rattling coming from? Fee-fi-fo-fum. Rattling bones, here they come. Rattling bones.
And next we have Mrs. Angie Byers' classroom. Ooh, look at that scarecrow. Wow. That's really neat. There's Mrs. Byers. She's at the end of her line. Obviously helping out the dinosaur who needs a little bit of assistance with his tail. as her classroom goes by. Would like to share with you some photos of her students creating a monster craft. So let's take a look at that. And next we have Mrs. Vescovi's third graders. You'll notice that each classroom has a sign to lead them off, and that not only helps me, well, I guess it actually just helps me so that I know what class is coming up next. But they do an awesome job with these signs. I really appreciate it. It was also Red Ribbon Week this week at school, and each day the students got to dress up and take a stand against drugs. We wore red one day, we had pajamas on another day, which was really awesome. Favorite sports jersey day and crazy socks and hair day. So the kiddos really had a wonderful time, and so did the teachers. And next up, we have Mrs. Arlene Rebar. Now, she is in for Mrs. Lindsay Baker, who had a little baby. Mrs. Rebar was in 4th grade last year, so she is definitely making the rounds here. Oh, look at that butterfly. Wow, beautiful. I love it. And that's a spooky thing behind her. Don't really know what that is, but that's really spooky. Now, once her kiddos go by, we have some photos. We'd like to, actually, just one photo of her students and their pumpkin activity that they did in class. The students had practiced their multiplication facts by writing, solving, and writing them onto their pumpkins. And the photo shows them proudly displaying their work. They did a fantastic job. And next we have Mrs. Tracy Howell's classroom. So Mrs. Howell's class was very busy. We have some crafts to show you after they go by, as well as some photos and some videos of her students. That's a really spooky thing. Sort of reminds me of Stranger Things. Ooh, I like that pumpkin head in the cloak. Wow. That's awesome. So her students, let me show you these crafts that they did. We have some video to show you as well of her students creating these styrofoam pumpkins. Which way are we going here? Everything's opposite on the camera here. So these actually have little lights inside, and you'll see that in the photos that we show you after this. But here's another pumpkin, and they're styrofoam. It was pretty cool that they were able to carve these. They didn't even use like real sharp knives or anything. They also created this little jack-o'-leafy. This was done by Cody. And we've got a spider done by Landon. And, thank you, Jan. The scarecrow, did we get it all in? Was done by Aspen. So let's take a look, let's take a look at the photos and also some video of her students creating these crafts.
Jack-o'-lantern, shining bright, perched on the porch on Halloween night. I see you and greet you every year. October 31st is finally here. Jack-o'-lantern, shining bright, perched on the porch on Halloween night. I see you and greet you every year. October 31st is finally here. Jack-o'-lantern, shining bright, perched on the porch on Halloween night. Trick or treat down the street, having lots of fun. Jack-o'-lantern, shine for everyone. Jack-o'-lantern, shining bright, perched on the porch on Halloween night. Trick treat down the street, having lots of fun. Jack-o'-lantern shine for everyone.
And next up we see I need to flip my page. It's Mrs. Meyer's pumpkin patch. And she is the first room of our first graders. That jester's pretty scary. Once Mrs. Meyer's class goes by, I would like to share with you a video of her students singing the song Old, Old Witch. All right, let's take a look at that.
Old witch, believe if you can. She tapped on the window pane and ran. She ran helter-skelter with her toes in the air. Corn stalks flying from the old witch's hair.
And next up, we have Mrs. Lauren Yakichik's first grade class. I love Mrs. Yakichik's sign. All of her little students were turned into ghosts with those little big heads. I love it. They look adorable. Once Mrs. Yakichik's class goes by, we have a couple things to share with you, some of the crafts that they made, and also a video of her students singing Little Old Lady. And she told me when I was in her room recording this song that when she was little and she was in school, she remembers singing that song. I think that's pretty neat. So we'll take a look at that video after I'm done showing you these crafts. But check out these spiders. This was done by Wyatt. Her class was really busy too, actually. We also have Frankenfeet. It looks like they were doing some math. This was done by Noah. And this one, beautiful coloring there, Cam. Done by Cam. And then we have a bunch of these. Let me just share just a few. She created this, what should my teacher be for Halloween? I think my teacher should be a witch for Halloween because she's a girl. How about this one? I think my teacher should be a ghost for Halloween because it is scary. And then they drew. I love these. Check that out. This one thinks that she should be a spider because spiders are scary. I think my teacher should be a frog because she is funny. And then they also created these really cute. I have a skeleton of love for Sawyer. I like the way he does math. So it looks like they were complimenting their classmates. I have a skeleton of love for Brielle. She is the best. Whoops. And finally, Jackie is smart, nice, and talented. That just melts my heart. How cute is that?
Shake, shake, two buzz go. Clap,
And next up, I see Mrs. Jennifer Miller's class and her little monsters. Oh, look at Captain America there. He's ready to just whip that shield. I love it. Now, Mrs. Jennifer Miller and Mrs. Julia Ken, they were really, really busy with their students as well. They got together and they carved pumpkins outside. I went out to record them one day. We also have photos to share with you of their class, of the pumpkins that they carved. And we also have video as well. So as soon as they go by here, we're going to show you some of the crafts and also the photos and the video. So for Mrs. Miller's class, they read this book called Creepy Carrots. Does look sort of creepy to me. And then they made some creepy carrots. Check this out. This was done by McKenna. And this one by Brantley. And those obviously go along with that book. I've never read that book. I'll have to read that. And then they also, this was the second class I heard, read this same book. It's called Room on a Broom. This was done by Rosie. And now let's take a look at some of the photos of her class carving pumpkins. And we also have a video to show you of her students singing the Scarecrow song. So let's take a look at that. I don't know, these first grade teachers are making me hungry for some Dunkin' Donuts. Not so much coffee, not a coffee drinker, but I'll take sweet tea any day. This is Mrs. Julia Ken's classroom. Oh, and they have some, that's their creepy carrot patch on their sign. That's pretty cute. A lot of our first grade teachers, and actually, as you may have noticed, a lot of our teachers do work together and team teach different concepts and share ideas with crafts and so forth. Oh, look at them. They look adorable. At the end of the line there, I see Mrs. Madeira and some of our paraprofessionals. Mrs. Wicks has some donuts. Maybe she'll drop one off here. Once Mrs. Ken's class goes by, we do have, as I had mentioned, some crafts to show you and also some photos as well of her students carving pumpkins and some videos too. We've got it all. So this is one of the books that first grade read as well. Mrs. Ken's room read this one. It's entitled Frankenstein, and I love these little Frankensteins that her students made. Check this out. They definitely look cranky. This was done by Wyatt. And here's a girl Frankenstein. This was done by Emily Ann. We also have, going along with the Frankenstein theme, we've got this. Can you see that? I get cranky when I get cranky when my brother won't let me throw the football. I would get cranky too. You poor soul. That was done by Winston. Let's see. Luke gets cranky when he gets hungry. I think a lot of us can relate to that, right? And finally, this is really cool. I have not seen this craft done before. I have no idea who did this, but it's pretty cool. Is there a name on the front? Nope. But two really creepy hands. Great job, Mrs. Ken's class.
Pumpkin, pumpkin, let's give you some ice. Pumpkin, pumpkin, let's give you a nose. Pumpkin, pumpkin, let's give you a scary smile. And now you're a jack-o'-lantern. The ghosts and the ghouls and the witches, they will run a mile when they see my scary smile. So put me in the window and I'll chase the night away, because I am a jack-o'-lantern. I am a jack-o'-lantern. I am a jack-o'-lantern. Happy Halloween.
And next up, we have Mrs. Kelsey Klosmo's first graders. Mrs. Klosmo's class, just like many of the others, they were quite busy. They have some crafts that they would like to share with you as well once they go by. Wow, look at that green clown. I don't know about you, but clowns just sort of does it for me. Yikes. That is creepy. Ah, cool werewolf. So Mrs. Klosmo's class, they made some monster heads. And they include some favorite Halloween characters, such as the bat, a skeleton, a black cat, Frankenstein, a vampire, witch, and ghosts. And Mrs. Klosmo sent these two up for me to share with you. This one's a black cat, done by Case. And, it's hard to say what this name is. I think it's Audrey made this witch. Just two of the many Halloween characters that Mrs. Klosmo's class made. Great job, kiddos. Next up, I see Mrs. Kristen Bohoric. We have such a wonderful crowd here on this perfect day for a Halloween parade. Everyone's all bundled up. We've got lots of family members, parents, grandparents. On one side of the football field, and on the other side are all of the students. Works out perfectly. Mrs. Bahorik's class was busy making some Q-tip skeletons as well. So once they go on by, I'll show you those crafts as well as some photos of our students carving pumpkins. Look at Debbie. That was Mrs. Wadsworth, one of our paraprofessionals. I love it. So here are some crafts done by Mrs. Bahorik's class. Not sure of a name on this one. Oh, Maddie. It's on the front. And this one was done by Mavis. I love these. Their skeletons have such personality. And let's take a look at some photos. And finally, we have Mrs. Kreis's first graders. This is our last first grade class for our parade. Wow, I love, look at those costumes. Is that Eddie from Stranger Things? Oh, it is. I love that. Oh my goodness. I don't know, I'm a huge Stranger Things fan. That's awesome. These are some great costumes. My goodness. It's a neat dragon mask there. Wow, and look at all the Pikachus. That's great. Now, Mrs. Kreis's class also did some crafts. We'll show you those as soon as they go by. Oh, a bee catcher. So this craft was done by Sadie. It looks like it's a sponge painted leaf that Mrs. Kreis's class did. And also, look how cute this is. This is done by Kylie. It's a shape Frankenstein graph. Look how cute he is. They're learning all sorts of things. Isn't it amazing in first grade what they're doing? It's pretty cool.
Listen, listen, goblins are there. Hear them tiptoe to your chair. Don't speak a word or go achoo!
Now, before we move on to before we move on to second grade, I see Mrs. Gordon is up next. I spent a lot of time in second grade this past week. All of the second grade students chose a character from their favorite book, and they decorated a pumpkin to look like that character. And each child then had to do a writing activity to go along with the pumpkin that they created, and they had to list some character traits of their character. As a culminating activity, they had a pumpkin parade yesterday, and the students got to show off their pumpkins that they created, and I am telling you what, it was awesome. So we have some footage of that, of the pumpkin parade, and then I also took photos of each classroom. So you'll see at the end, once the students parade by, you will see a photo of each classroom and their students holding the pumpkins that they created. So I hope you enjoyed as much as I did. I was just so amazed at the talent that these kiddos possess and their parents possess in helping them. So fantastic job, second grade, on all of the pumpkin parade and this project that they did. It was really, really neat to see.
Pumpkins marching one by one, marching to the beat. Pumpkins bobbing up and down, they're marching in the street. Look! They're marching, marching in your neighborhood. Yikes! They're marching, marching just like pumpkins should. Pumpkins marching down the road, marching from the patch to the store. They march and wait in time for you to catch. Look! They're marching, marching in your neighborhood. Yikes! They're marching, marching just like pumpkins should. Look! They're marching, marching. Look! They're marching, marching. Look! They're marching, marching. Boo! Pumpkins marching one by one, marching to the beat. Pumpkins bobbing up and down, they're marching in the street. Look! They're marching, marching in your neighborhood. Yikes! They're marching, marching just like pumpkins should. Pumpkins marching down the road, marching from the patch to the store. They march and wait in time for you to catch. Look!
So let's move on. Our little monsters from second grade are ready now, and it looks like Mrs. Gordon's class, as I mentioned before, is the first one out. And if you'll notice, there's our ranger mascot in the background. This was the first year for our ranger mascot. Notice he has a handler over there with him. Oh, look at that hairy thing. Mrs. Gordon's class created some ghosts. We're going to show those once they go by. And then we also have some photos of their class with the pumpkins that they carved. Or pumpkins that they created, I should say. So let's take a look at these ghosts. Pretty neat. I'm not quite sure who did this one. It's hard to read that name. And this one doesn't have a name. There you go, but they're really cute. Thank you, Jan. And it looks like Mrs. Daly's second graders are up next. Oh, look at her. She's the grammar police. And that is her student teacher, Miss Hope Ritchie. And she was the grammar thief. Oh, my goodness. I love it. Miss Ritchie spent an afternoon in my classroom checking out not only second grade with Mrs. Daly, but also my gifted support students and how things work there. And it was a joy to have her, I must say. We really enjoy the elementary school, and I'm sure the junior, senior high as well really enjoys having the student teachers. And we're pleased to have these students in our classrooms to learn and grow. So Mrs. Daly's class would like to share with you some photos of them making the skull sun catchers and the spiders that they made that actually could be eaten. Can you imagine that? Yes. And of course, as I had mentioned before, we have the photo of her class with their decorated pumpkins. So let's take a look at those. See more grammar police, Miss Hannah Conklin. Oh, and here comes, I see the ranger mascot. Oh, just slightly getting in on the picture there. Oh, look at that creepy thing. Wowee. I think that's the Mandalorian there that just went by. Cheerleaders and skeletons and lots of Steelers. I love it. Once Miss Conklin's classroom goes by, we'll share the photo of her students and the pumpkins that they decorated to go along with their project. And next up, we have Mrs. Summit's second graders. Aw, look at the little devil. And it looks like that's a jellyfish, I think. That's so cute. Ooh, and the green monster thing. Wowee. Hi, Speedy. This is little Jackson, one of my students. Hey, Mrs. H. I love it. So Mrs. Summit's class was busy as well. And once they go through, I will show you some of the crafts that they created. They were quite busy, I must say. These are really, really cute. Check out these. This was done by Ethan. Little spider webs and spiders. This one's a little more flat. Done by Brant. And then we've got all kinds of things here. Thank you, Jan. Harper was working on, and Addie, it looks like they were working on some fact families. So we've got 12, 4, and 8, and inside are the 4, the 2 addition and 2 subtraction facts that go along with those 3 numbers, which is pretty neat. Nice haunted houses. And we also have, let's see, Pumpkin Pal data analysis. This was done by, I think, Arlo. And Macy, it looks like. Fantastic job, kiddos. And next up, we have Mrs. Cindy Shokoski. Wow, that's a spooky mask there. And that white mask, that would scare the living daylights out of me if I saw that outside my door. Good gracious. There's Mr. Charlton in the background there. He's a newly hired teacher this year. Mrs. Shokoski would like to share with you some crafts that her students made. And of course, we also want to share a photo of Mrs. Shokoski's students and the pumpkins that they decorated as well after we're done showing these. This was done by Tara. Pretty neat. And they also researched some spiders. This was done by Orion, it looks like. Some interesting facts about spiders. A brown likes to live alone. This species, that's a big word for 2nd grade. This species can be found in Canada and the United States. Its venom is quite harmful to people, and these guys are often found hiding in dark places. I love it. Great job. And finally, our last 2nd grade classroom is Mrs. Bakota's class. They look adorable. Look at them. My goodness. Mrs. Bakota would also like to share a photo of her. Oh, look at that. That's really cool. Look at him. He's sticking his hands up. I love it. I love those inflatable ones. I just can't get enough. They're so adorable. I can't imagine they're very easy to see out of. Mrs. Bakota would like to share with you a photo of her students and the pumpkins that they decorated. All right, it looks like we have our monsters, our goblins and ghouls. They are much larger than they were before. This is our 6th grade. Oh my goodness. Look at that dinosaur. That was great. Look at them. He fell. Look out. You can tell they've done this parade a few times, right? Oh, they are just letting it all hang out here. I love it. That was Mrs. Did I even mention that? That was Mrs. Bolvin's classroom that just went by. I'm so sorry. I was so struck by all of the really neat costumes. I may have forgotten to mention that, but I won't this time. This is Mrs. May's 6th grade class. Let's see if any of these kiddos get a little crazy like the last one. There she is. There's Mrs. Mays in her M&M costume. Oh my goodness. I'm still chuckling over that last crew. Now, in lieu of all of the crafts and things, we do have, once all of 6th grade goes through, and I see Mr. Eric Stone's class is ready to come by us next, we're going to be showing you a video that Mrs. Jenna Tully and Mr. Jake Kearney, our 6th grade music teachers, they created with the 6th grade classrooms, a video of Thriller and their students doing their thing. So we'll check that out here real soon. But up next is Mr. Eric Stone's classroom. I love his sign. Oh, check out the pickle or a cucumber. That's pretty neat. Very nice. And next up, it looks like we have Mrs. Megan Bodie's classroom. One of my students is the sign holder there. Sage. Love it. Now, I had mentioned before that this has been Red Ribbon Week this week. And we've had all kinds of activities going on dealing with Red Ribbon Week and trying to educate the students about the horrible things that can come about if they would happen to use drugs. Mr. Tom Kern, detective, I should say, Tom Kern, came to speak to our 6th graders this year, again, as he has, and he usually gives a very candid discussion about drugs. We really appreciate him coming in. And I do see Mr. Brezovic's class is coming up next. His petrifying pupils. Oh my goodness. Where's Mr. Brez? Did he didn't dress up. I have to harass him a little bit about that. Shame. But we've also had, along with Red Ribbon Week, October is Fire Safety Month, and we had all of the local fire companies come to the school. They brought their equipment and spoke with the children. We really, really appreciate all that they do, and we also appreciate our local police who put their life on the line each and every day for us, and especially last night, patrolling for Trick or Treat. And next up, I see we have Ms. Sobecki's classroom, led by 2 pickles in a scary mask right in the middle there. Wow. Wow. Oh, look at the Barbie. What a neat idea. Love it. So yesterday I was showing Miss Jan, my helper, some of the past Halloween videos that we have on YouTube, because she has not helped out in this capacity before. And I took a look at some of the past Halloween parades that we have posted to YouTube, and I found some astounding figures. Our Halloween parade from 2017 has 17,000 views. Our Halloween parade from 2018 has 20,000 views. And our parade from 2016, take a guess, 40,000 views. Unbelievable. Unbelievable.
creatures crawl in search of blood to terrorize your neighborhood. And though you fight to stay alive, your body starts to shiver, for no mere mortal can resist the evil of the thriller.
And now it is on to, I believe this is our last grade. This is 5th grade, and our first teacher out is Mrs. Gibson. And she is looks like a Hogwarts witch today. She was supposed to twirl around. She had mentioned she was going to do that, or her sister would be really upset. Our 5th grade classes each did some nice Halloween projects. And once Mrs. Gibson's crew is done going by, we're going to show you some crafts that they did, as well as photos of their class. And these are really neat. Mrs. Gibson does this every year, and I love this craft. These are glue ghosts. Look at that. Isn't that neat? And here's another. So her class did this, and also Mrs. Becky Wayner's class. I believe they're the next ones out. They did these glue ghosts as well. They're so neat. Great job. So let's take a look at Mrs. Wayner's crew. She is a giraffe. Look at her go. Ooh, look at her walking. Yes, sir, buddy. I love it. We have a great time in the 5th grade pod, let me tell you. Is that how giraffes walk? I wonder if she researched that walk. Look at that shark. I think it's a shark. Is that a shark? Whoa, look at that one. Look at that. Whoa. You go, girl. Woohoo! Ooh, that's a spooky one right there in the black dress. Oh my, here we go again. We got this going on. Girls with the football. I love it. That's. Do you think they have a lot of fun in that class? I don't know. We have some photos to share with you of Mrs. Wayner's class and their glue ghosts that they made. And now, let's take a look at Mrs. Zaramba's 5th grade classroom. Oh, she is a unicorn today. Oh, look at those. I love these costumes. I've seen that hot dog a few times. That's pretty darn cute. But the poor hot dog is on crutches. You can't see it. Oh, there it is. These are great. And once her class goes by, oh, I missed that sumo wrestler. That's pretty cool. Once her class goes by, we'd like to share with you a photo or two of her students and the craft that they made. They made some pretty neat pumpkins. Let's take a look at those. But not at me. And next we have Mrs. Stacy Faith and her classroom. Oh, they look adorable. Her students made some yarn mummies, and we're going to look at those here in just a moment. And then also share, I believe we have some photos. I'm not quite sure on that one. Let me see here. We do have these. I know that for sure. This one was done by, oh, can I see a name? Malia, I do believe. And Noah. Fantastic job. And here comes, let's see, what does Mr. Lashinsky have this year? Let's see. Oh, he is a pack of French fries. Quite interesting. We can always count on Scott for a good costume, I must say. Ooh, look at that crazy clown. Wow-wee. Oh, there's the Mandalorian. Oh, some more Stranger Things going on. Yes, love it. Oh, that's a spooky thing. Wow-wee. Mr. Lashinsky would like to share with you some photos of his students and the pumpkins that they created. So let's take a look at those. And last, but certainly not least, our very last classroom for our 2022 Halloween parade is Mrs. McGo's class. Oh, I love it. Oh, and look at some of these. Oh, some more Stranger Things. We've got some inflatables. There's Chucky. Yikes. There's Mrs. Griffith. That's funny looking. And I love that dragon. How cute. That's Miss Mallory Bowser. She was in my classroom as well. She's a student teacher at UPJ. Fantastic job. Let's take a look at one last photo of Mrs. McGo's class and the Halloween mobiles that they made. And before we wrap everything up, we would like to thank a few people for making it all possible for this Halloween parade to be broadcast to you. Mr. Jake Kearney and Mrs. Jenna Tully for their expertise on the cameras. I'd love to thank Miss Jan Yursky, who was my right-hand man here, right-hand woman, I guess, today, handing me all of the Halloween crafts and making sure that none of them blew away, which the wind wasn't too bad today, which is a great thing. And especially Mr. Jay Elias, our Director of Technology and our Video Productions Manager, who is running the board and taking care of all of the editing for this entire production. And let me tell you, it is one incredible task to do all of the editing and throw all of the photos and the videos in and so forth. So I know he will certainly put a lot of hours and hours and hours into giving you a well-produced Halloween parade today. A great big thank you also goes out to the Forest Hills High School Marching Rangers and Mr. Mitch Kuster, and for leading the parade today and providing us with some wonderful background music. And finally, on behalf of the Board of School Directors, the administration, faculty, and staff, and students here at Forest Hills Elementary, we'd like to thank you for being a part of this annual tradition here at Forest Hills. I hope to see you again next year, and thank you for joining us on the Forest Hills School District Community Outreach Channel and on our Forest Hills YouTube channel. This is Kim Hostetler. Have a wonderful and very safe, spooktacular Halloween.